Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha, and come on in, make yourself comfortable. I'm so happy that you're taking time out of your busy day and spending time with me and the rest of our Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast family. Imagine you have just entered your favorite restaurant or eatery. Yes, we're going to spend some time talking about food. Food is pretty popular, is something that we need, and most of the time we enjoy. Do you find yourself, while you are enjoying your favorite dish, chatting with friends, or how about watching a movie? However, all that is so wonderful, but I wonder if you ever thought about taking the time and exploring that delicious morsel that you're about to chow down on. Well, today our podcast is going to be about mindful eating. And I've talked about mindful eating before. So if you've heard this before, welcome. This is going to be a review. I'd like to set the stage that we are in a restaurant or eatery or your kitchen, your dining room, wherever you like to eat. So before we get started, I'd like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcasts to you. Thank you, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing Podcasts available to my listeners everywhere they go. Okay, so may I take your reservation? Where would you like to be seated? Would you like to be seated near the window? Or would you like to be seated in the center part of the restaurant? Would you like a table or a booth? So many questions, and we haven't even looked at the menu yet. Well, let's get started. Sitting in your favorite spot, wherever that may be. This is what is suggested for you to participate in this mindful eating exercise. Now, I'm adapting this activity, as I have done before, from positivepsychology.com. The basic concepts you may find in many mindfulness practices. I like this resource because it really does parallel to how I use mindful eating with my students. And so I'm just going to let you know some things you can go and gather, and then I'm going to give you some information while you're gathering those things. So try to find something. I mean, we're not going to concentrate on a whole meal, okay? We're just maybe appetizer type portions, okay? So we're not looking at a whole plate of salad or a whole bowl of soup. But for this activity, choose something that is bite-size, something that has texture, something that is crunchy, something that has different colors. Oh, I see a question. Do they have to be all the same thing, or do we choose different items? That's a great question. Yes, make a variety of bite-size little foods. So you want to have maybe, this is a suggestion, maybe bite-sized pieces of candy, a candy bar or something like that, texture, something that is crunchy, something that is colorful, and maybe for non-chocolate and non-candy options, how about some fruit? Try apples or orange slices, little cookies, little slices of cake. As you can see, what the important thing to concentrate on is different textures, different colors, and just a small bite size. Okay, so pretend this is like the appetizer part of your meal. Okay, so now while you're going to get that, and if you want to make it kind of fun, you can put the different selections on different little saucers. That'd be great too. All right, so while you're gathering your material and clearing your place where you're going to do this activity, I'm going to give you a little bit of information of why mindful eating is healthy for us. Eating is an essential part of our daily activity, and it's an important part for us to get our nutrition and for survival. And that's basically is according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, why we need nutrition, so that our body can become energized. However, we know it's more than that. It's just so simple. Eating sometimes becomes an emotional outlet. While we are eating, may I ask, have you thought about how you're feeling while you are eating? What are your emotions? And so, as you're preparing, may I ask, where are you? Where's your headspace? And say, well, I'm getting all this stuff, Eartha. And then let's go a little bit farther than that. So many times when we sit down and eat, are we eating mindfully? Or are we eating because I got 5 minutes to get a quick bite because I am starving? Or, sometimes when we're watching our favorite television show or movie, we are so, it kind of brings joy and entertainment to the situation of watching a movie or a sports game. I mean, it's all part of it. This is part of like going to the stadium or going to the movie or going to a show. And, as you're eating, you're kind of taking in the environment, the smells. Yet we become less aware of the process and the taste of the food. And our attention is not really focused on the sensation of eating. Rather, our focus and our attention is really focused on what's going on in the surrounding environments. And so, when this happens, maybe we are not getting the full appreciation and enjoyment of the food. Sometimes, if a entertainment or if this is your favorite restaurant, you love the music, you love the ambiance. And if that is off, if you get poor service, then the food doesn't taste good. Something's not right. And so we're not really focused on the food. We're focused on the environment. And so with mindful eating, we're going to focus our attention specifically on the food, and we're going to have a mindfulness experience as we experience these different textures and colors and flavors. Okay, so with all that being said, you are probably almost ready. You have all your things. You might want to get yourself something to drink, maybe some water so you can cleanse your palate in between bites. Okay. And as you're doing that, I just want to put a plug in for the emphasis and the benefits of mindful eating. When we are eating mindfully, it really decreases our emotional eating. Emotional eating out of stress, emotional eating out of depression, emotional eating out of super excitement. It also helps us to slow down. So we reduce the amount of speed that we're taking in our food, and what happens is we become satisfied, and so we eat less. We're sitting and eating our food. We're looking at it and tasting it and smelling it and just appreciating the food itself. And so with mindful eating, it reduces the chance of overeating. And with that, the other effects of overeating, such as the high blood pressure, diabetes, and different kind of physical complications and conditions as that. So as we do this activity, just think for a moment, maybe 5 minutes or a little bit more. You're going to give yourself a chance to focus just on the food. Okay, so let's begin. As we begin, I just want to put a little warning out that this activity can be a little bit challenging. Why? Because especially if we're eating something that we really like or that we are craving for, we tend to focus our attention on maybe how it is satisfying us emotionally, and so the pace of putting the food into our mouth may increase. And so while I'm guiding you through this practice, just be aware that I'm guiding you through it slowly on purpose. And you may be challenged and have a sensation of wanting to rush through it a little bit more quickly. And that part is the part of mindfulness that we can strengthen so that we can appreciate each bite. Okay. While you are eating, pay attention to the kinds of feelings and emotions that may arise throughout the exercise. I invite you to try not to deal with being critical or talking negative and to yourself, the self-talk. Kind of monitor that. Okay? All right. So, as you have gathered your items, find a nice, comfortable spot, and you're probably there. Okay? We're going to begin by taking a few nice deep breaths. in your nose and out your mouth. And let yourself relax. Let your shoulders and your hands just melt. There's no competition. There's no rush. No one's going to ask you, would you like any more water? Are you ready for the check? Now that you feel in a natural and comfortable position, I invite you to close your eyes if you would like. Or you can just kind of focus on a low gaze or find a focal point in the room and take another breath. Let's begin with your first item. You choose. Just pick up the item, and if it's in a food wrapper, unwrap it. As you are unwrapping the food, listen to the sound and pay attention to the sensation of the paper and the texture of the food. If the food is already unwrapped, pay attention to that outside texture. You could change hands, look at it all around. Now, bring the food to your nose and take a nice deep breath. Pay attention to the smell. As you inhale and you are capturing the aroma flowing through the senses. Pay attention to the feeling of how what is triggered through those aromas. Now, pay attention to the color. If your eyes were closed, just open them gently, and as you're holding the food, look at the color. Describe the color in 2 or 3 sentences. Go beyond, well, it's purple. It's red. What kind of red? What kind of texture is involved? What shape is there? Is it a flat type of color, or is it kind of glossy? And now, place the food on your tongue, not chewing it yet. Instead, we're going to allow the tongue to explore the food. So you want to roll it around on your tongue. Lean it on against the roof of your mouth, and let your tongue just kind of walk around that food inside your mouth. Pay attention to the textures and the taste. Your mouth may get a little bit more watery. The saliva is starting to produce. Notice any thoughts that's coming to your mind as you are exploring this food. Pay attention. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Are there any memories associated with this food? Any positive memories, any negative thoughts or emotions? If there's anything that's negative, just let it just go. We're not going to ignore it, but we're just going to continue without trying to allow the negative experiences to take over. We're just going to just pay attention to the texture and then start to chew. And as you're chewing it, listen to the sound and pay attention to how the texture is changing. And as the food begins to slide down your throat, what sensation are you experiencing? If your food is rather minty, What sensation are you noticing? Imagine the food has entered your stomach. And at this time, do a check-in with yourself. How are you feeling? What's going on? Now take about 5 deep breaths. And that's the end of the exercise. And so, you take one piece of food. I wouldn't say you want to do this with the whole meal, but maybe take a few moments and just do this with one piece of food through the whole exercise. And you will be surprised at how much you discover in one little bite of a cookie, or an orange, or a grape, or a raisin. What I do for my students, I know it is very challenging for them to hold back. And that's what they're working on. So, we find different parts in this practice of what we can work on. Sometimes I bring in new food, something that's very unusual, and that slows everyone down because there's a sense of curiosity. And so as you're doing your mindful eating activities, do it with a sense of curiosity. Ask your friends and family to participate and walk them through this exercise. Well, now, I appreciate you so much for joining me and being patient with me through this activity. Enjoy your meal. Bon appetit. I look forward to talking to you again next time. Have a great day.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.